how a misread CAT scan of the brain resulted in a $43 million jury verdict for one of my clients. I'm Andy Siegel. I'm the senior litigating partner at Siegel Coonerty here in New York City. I'm always asked, Andy, how did this jury give your client $43 million? It was reported to be the third largest medical malpractice verdict in the country as reported by Jury Verdict Reporter for the year 2007. And people are always asking me, what happened in that case? How did this jury give your client $43 million, especially in light of the fact that I only asked them for $4 or $5 million? Well, in this particular case, what happened was I represented an individual who worked in a nail salon. A ceiling collapsed on her head. She had never been to a doctor since arriving at this country, but on this occasion, she was sent for a CAT scan of the head. It was read as normal by the reading radiologist. 8 months later, this woman unfortunately sustained a rupture of an aneurysm in her brain that resulted in multiple brain surgeries and ended up in a very unfortunate course for her. Very devastatingly brain injured. What I did was I went back to that CAT scan taken 8 months earlier, and I had it reviewed by a radiological expert. What it showed was an abnormality in a location known as the posterior communicating artery. Basically in the brain, and this is just real basic, where the internal arteries enter the brain, there's a circular structure that has different names to the different pieces of the circle, known as the circle of Willis. In this particular case, an aneurysm or an abnormality was pictured on that CAT scan right by the posterior communicating artery, which is these arteries here. The internal jugular comes in here, and this is the posterior communicating, and the aneurysm had developed right at the juncture. What basically happened in this case is that the CAT scan showed an abnormality at the juncture of the posterior communicating artery and the internal carotid. When a CAT scan shows an abnormality such as that, what needs to be done is a clarifying study, such as an MRI or an MRA, which is an MRI with contrast study. If that had been done, the aneurysm would have been revealed and it could have been surgically treated or clipped prior to it rupturing. Why do you need to know this information? In situations where there's a ruptured aneurysm, on occasion, it could have been prevented by conforming the practice of medicine to accepted standards of care, whether it be reading a CAT scan properly or whether or not there were other signs and symptoms that were consistent with an impending rupture of an aneurysm. I'm Andy Siegel. If you have any questions, call me, 212-532-0532. I'll answer your questions. Thank you.